Hi, I'm Robin Peterman. I'm the principal at Kekionga Middle School in Fort Wayne Community Schools. First of all, I'd like to tell you that before Break the Grade came to my school, I was a little leery about if we could keep all of the students content and respectful in the gym during someone who was going to talk for over an hour. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. But once the program began, I didn't have to say anything, nor did any of my teachers, because they were rapt. They were in rapture listening to the message, and it was so appropriate and so connected to where they were that I never had to dream about that again. So I would say afterward, a lot of students rushed to talk to Bill Ballenger and the other people involved in the presentation because they just couldn't believe how cool it was and how it tied in with their own lives, the decisions they needed to make, the questions they were asked. I saw some real changes in attitudes just during that short time, and that's pretty cool if you can reach kids and get tough old middle school kids to admit that maybe they think differently in such a short time. That's kind of amazing.
What would you say to an administrator who is on the fence about bringing Break the Grade? Maybe they're scared, maybe they're just not knowing if it's a good time. What would you say to them?
A couple things, and that is I didn't know if it was going to be a good time either. But I'm always willing to try something new, and I was very, very happy with the presentation. I wish that I could find a way to have regular check-ins, that kids could ask more questions, which they can do online, and they have ways to hook up, but I'd like to hook up in groups instead of just individuals as well. And I would say, give it one shot. You're gonna be surprised and astounded by the connections your kids make to the messages that are being presented. And know too, that if there's things that you're really sensitive about at your school, things that have happened that make you leery of certain subjects, the group that you work with are completely comfortable tailoring it to your needs. So if there's something you don't want them to touch, they won't touch it. So you can be very comfortable with that.
Do you have a favorite part?
Actually, I do kind of have a favorite part. One of them would be the part where Bill was talking about how he lost custody of his child and his wife went to jail too, and how horrible of a time that was, and that he was a real loser, and that can you believe anybody would be that stupid to do something like that would make those kind of decisions? And then, he asked the audience, and how many of you making stupid decisions every day and doing things that can change your life and hurt other people? And because of his background, he was able to ask those kind of questions and have the credibility, and it took kids' breath away. They just were startled for a minute. And what I thought was really cool was when he asked the students again, how many people know someone who's done drugs or used alcohol that's hurting themselves? And a lot of hands went up. And then he talked for a bit and he said, how many of you would raise your hand if you'd be willing to help one of those people and tell them they're doing the wrong thing? And nobody's hand went up. I was like, oh God. Well, then he went through his spiel and he talked about his experiences and he talked about how he changed and how he had goals and what he did to accomplish them, and how people needed to help and support each other, that's what people do. That's what we're here for, to hear that heartbeat and to help everybody's heart keep going. And then he asked again near the end, how many people would stand up to someone who's doing things to hurt themselves and try to help them and try to get them to change? And a lot of hands went up. And that was pretty